Hello and welcome to Rock Paper Shotgun. E3 has been and gone, leaving us with a better idea of what the rest of 2019 looks like for those of a PC gaming persuasion. We did one of these roundups at the beginning of the year and a few of those games ended up shitting the bed. Thanks for that, Anthem, but we are feeling more confident about these picks. So here are the 15 PC games we're watching out for during the rest of 2019. Doom Eternal reminds us that it's always good to catch up with old friends as it brings the Pain Elementals and Arachnotrons back from Doom 2. Eternal leans heavily on nostalgia and is a slightly more arcadier game than the 2016 reboot as a result. This means big glowing power-ups, retro enemy designs, and a few new acrobatic moves to limber up what was already the best dexterous first-person combat out there. The E3 demo was brilliant, bloody fun, and the trailer shows a game with a lot more ideas than its predecessor. Hopefully that will stop it from just becoming a parade of combat arenas in the late game. Throw in player-controlled monsters for a new 2v1 multiplayer and campaign invasions, and this looks hellishly good. First of all, thank you to Frontier Developments for releasing Planet Zoo 4 days before my birthday. I bloody love animals, and I love Planet Coaster, and I loved Zoo Tycoon, and yeah, it's safe to say I'm well excited for Planet Zoo. UI-wise, it looks pretty much the same as Planet Coaster, but now you can build lovely environments for a whole plethora of animals. You'll have to make sure enclosures are close to their natural habitats, you'll need to research different species, and you'll help your animals raise future generations. Each animal will have distinctive looks and personalities, as well as its own thoughts and feelings. Though I expect most of these will be, I wish I could eat that plump child on the other side of the glass. If you like pretend animal prisons as much as I do, this'll be fab. Fallen Order wins our E3 award for most misleading demo. Not because it made the game look better than it is, but because it made it look dumber than it is. Respawn showed off a linear combat corridor that could have been the Force Unleashed with a spot of polish. Sure, a big part of the game is throwing lightsabers around or freezing time to force pull a stormtrooper into his own laser blast, but it's not just an A to B action gauntlet. The game takes cues from Metroid as you explore planets, amassing new skills to open up new routes, and the dueling's focus on breaking an enemy's stamina is a gentler version of Sekiro. There's more than meets the eye here. Oh, and that goofy robot buddy is cute too. A new Remedy game is always something to get excited about, and this one doesn't come with a weird TV show you have to watch in the middle. You play as Jesse Faden, an accidental employee of the Federal Bureau of Control, which studies phenomena which violate the laws of reality. When Jessie finds a shape-shifting gun, she becomes the new director of the Bureau, not dissimilar to how I got this job, and also gets superhuman powers like telekinesis. Who needs a shape-shifting gun when you can throw fire extinguishers at weird spirits invading your office? The game cuts out the hand-holding, asking you to navigate by reading the world and trying not to get lost when walls and floors begin to shift. It's an intriguing world to explore and a neat story to unravel, but they might need a better hiring policy. If you ever fantasize about listening in on strangers' Skype calls, then Telling Lies should sate those needs, you mad pervert. If you played Her Story, you'll know how this works. It's an investigative game where technology is your friend. Instead of picking through the archive of police interviews we saw in Her Story, Telling Lies sees you trawling through secretly recorded video conversations. You'll have to piece together a story where you'll see 2 years of 4 people's lives unfold in front of you, all of whom are linked by a shocking incident. You can search the database for various terms and watch clips where they say these words, get the context, and get closer to understanding what happened. You'll be the one to decide the truth, and you're going to be in for an intimate and intense experience. Our resident JRPG fiend, Catherine, says it's the best Final Fantasy, so is obviously excited about the remaster. With spruced up textures and high definition character models, moody protagonist Squall can finally show his true emotions to the world instead of having every expression lost behind a frown of fuzzy pixels. What's that? He's still massively unimpressed even with his own remaster? Some things never change. Aside from the facelift, Square Enix are keeping their remaster plans quiet. Will Renoa's Angelo still be the best dog friend of all time? How scary will the giant spider assault mech be? And most importantly, will Triple Triad still be as addictive as Gwent? Hopefully we won't have to compress time before we find out. With a Red Dead Redemption 2 PC port yet to show itself, it's down to Desperados 3 to give us a cowboy hit. Made by the same team behind the incredible Shadow Tactics, this is another real-time tactics gem. In a world where everyone has an itchy trigger finger, stealth is your best friend as you lure guards away with whistles or seduction, throw coins to distract or throw them at horses to make them buck their legs and hoof a bandit in the face. Action takes place in huge social hubs where you can survey your targets and pick up gossip about weaknesses. It's basically Hitman, but you've got a whole team of Wild West assassins who can be programmed to act simultaneously. It looks incredible, so click on the on-screen link for our in-depth video. Triumph Studios swap Wizards for mechs as Age of Wonders heads for sci-fi realms. This isn't just Age of Wonders 3 in space, it's tweaking both its empire building and turn-based combat to fit the setting. Combat is more dynamic, from battlefields with mixed elevations and destructible scenery and units that can be endlessly modified for every possible encounter. Zoom out and you've got a planet to colonize. The empire that once ruled the galaxy has collapsed, leaving formerly conquered factions to duke it out for supremacy. One of which includes Amazonian warriors who ride dinosaurs. Throw in talking planets and mutant jellyfish and this has the colourful character to go with the world-conquering smarts. Perhaps too complicated to explain in 50 seconds, so do check out the full demo going on the channel later this week. Not sure why the Blair Witch is getting a game in 2019? Maybe she's run out of campers to eat and needs an injection of cash, who knows? Bloober Team, the gang behind Layers of Fear and Observer, are developing the game, and it looks like a whole spookfest. The game is set in 1996, which is 2 years after the film The Blair Witch Project, and takes us back to Black Hills Forest in Maryland. You play as former police officer Ellis and join the search party for a missing boy. Before long, Ellis gets lost and only has his dog Bullet for company. Maybe we can give him to the witch to buy our freedom. Either way, expect puzzles, environments that change as the Blair Witch does all her mad bullshit, and a camcorder to look through. Not spooky at all. All games with camcorders are not spooky. At least you can pet the dog. It feels like we've been waiting ages to play a game about a stealthy arsehole goose, but 2019 looks like it's going to be the year we're finally going to get our hands on it. If you've not heard of it, the entire premise is to piss off human characters. You'll be able to flap your wings, honk at things and grab items. You'll need to complete a set of tasks as the goose, which could be stealing a hat, stealing some keys, setting up pranks, and just being a mean old goose who's hellbent on ruining everyone's day. If you squint, it kind of resembles Hitman, if Agent 47 was a goose. It will probably be a nice way to let off steam after a bad day in real life, where the humans are the assholes. The Outer Worlds is a delicious what-if of a game. It asks what if the original Fallout team had stuck with the series as it shifted into full 3D. So while The Outer Worlds has the look and feel of the Bethesda Fallouts, it has the dark humour and weirdness of Fallout 1. The stuff that kinda went missing from Fallout 3 onwards. And so we're on a planet owned by evil corporations dealing with the capitalist cruelty. Like a pig farm where animals grow bacon tumours to feed the masses. If you weren't vegan before, you will be now. It's delivered with vicious wit and heaps of player choice as you choose to go in shooty, sneaky or talky. Throw in slow motion time dilation to line up those space laser headshots, not to be confused with Fallout's VATS, and this is basically everything Fallout 76 wasn't. Shame it's limited to Epic Games Store on PC. I guess the big corporations win again. Greedfall developers Spiders don't have a stellar track record. They're the masters of the 6 out of 10 budget RPG, but this adventure could scratch a particular itch. It's an RPG in the vein of BioWare before they went a bit mad. A linear story told in a large-ish world where the fun comes from the companions you meet and relationships you build. Apparently you can upset allies to the point they'll leave your gang and become antagonists, which sounds quite spicy. I also like the setting, which mixes monsters and magic with an 18th century colonial vibe, meaning you get to kick the ass of giant monsters but also wear a snazzy tricorn hat at the same time. And who wouldn't want that? With Cyberpunk and Vampire the Masquerade asking us to wait until 2020, this might just fill the RPG hole in your life. Monster Hunter World's newest expansion is Iceborne. It brings a new region, Hoarfrost Reach, which is a frozen forest. The cold brings new challenges to looking after your character, as stamina will deplete quicker, but this can be combated with using hot peppers to make warming drinks. It introduces new monsters too, including the deer-like Benbaro, the carnivorous fishy known as Biotodus, a new Elder Dragon Velkhana, and a fair few others. The campaign unlocks after you reach Hunter rank 16, which means you'll have to complete the story and defeat the final boss in Monster Hunter World. It comes with a new Hunter rank known as Master, which looks to act a lot like the G rank in previous Monster Hunters. Annoyingly, we PC players don't get it until winter. It comes to console in September, but at least it'll be a good tonal fit for the weather outside. Police Stories encourages you not to shoot first, ask questions later, but to make sure you're choosing the right path. And with Police Stories' surrender system, you can do just that. Neutralizing criminals in the most effective way for each situation gets you the high scores needed to move on to the next mission. Super aggression will be punished. You'll come across hostages to rescue and criminals ranging from petty to terrorist to go up against. Scenarios will be different every time you restart. Criminals, hostages and evidence will not always be in the same place. You'll have gear like motion detectors and tactical cameras to help you scout out any potential threats before you reach them. Imagine Hotline Miami, but with serious consequences for your actions. We are well up for this. When it first came out in 2011, Ni no Kuni looked like pure luxury. Cutscenes by Studio Ghibli, music by legendary composer Joe Hisaishi, and RPG elements from Level 5, the brains behind cult PS2 gem Dark Cloud. But it wasn't on PC until now. Well, technically until September. Not much is changing since its first release apart from a boosted resolution and frame rate. But considering the game was already beautiful way back in the day, it doesn't need much. Ni no Kuni has pausable real-time combat, though most of the heavy lifting is done by magical familiars summoned by your party. It seems that the heavy amount of fighting meant not many actually finished the original game, so here's hoping the remaster also brings some way of moving through the sloggier bits. Truth be told, boiling down the next 6 months to 15 games is dumb, given the riches on the way, so I'm going to hammer through some other treats that caught Rock Paper Shotgun video department's eye. There's Iceborne, which you may have seen at the RPS sessions back at Rezzed, a brain-flipping puzzle platformer that sees you running on the walls and the ceiling like that chap from Inception, only without an expensive suit. It's like an Escher painting come to life, and we love it. Another one for fans of impossible physics is Superliminal, a perspective puzzle game that plays with object size based on how far you stand away from them. Pick up a tiny dollhouse and place it close to your eyes and it will be big enough to walk around. That noise is your brain melting out of your ear. Or if you just fancy a bit of a boogie, Felix the Reaper has you jiving through the shadows as you try to sneak up on people who need sending to the afterlife. You're basically the invisible spirit from Final Destination, setting up accidental deaths while also dancing. It's weird. Speaking of the afterlife, I also can't wait for After Party, where 2 recently deceased souls are trying to beat the devil in a drinking competition. It's made by the very clever people who made Oxenfree, so I hope they are still clever with several pints of virtual booze in them. Speaking of hellish delights, Matthew asked me to include Blasphemous in the list. It looks frickin' horrible to me, with gruesome execution animations and boss designs that are pure nightmare fuel. But if you want a Castlevania game with a bit more bite, this'll likely do. A bleak note to end the video on, but I hope you found this video useful. We always warn people off getting sucked into the endless hype cycle, but it's good to know what the next 6 months are looking like. Please tell us the PC games you're excited about, and I really hope you'll join us for the rest of the year as we cover these games. Please do subscribe and join us for more. Hopefully see you soon. Bye for now.